Why isn't it working? You're doing the work, you're putting in the effort, you bought the course, you read the book, you started the new habit, but the life you ordered hasn't arrived. The needle isn't moving. You feel stuck in the same place, watching everyone else sprint past you. What if the secret isn't about more effort? What if it's not about talent or luck or finding that one big break? What if the secret is something so simple, so boring, that we overlook it every single day? In a town cradled by ancient mountains, there lived a young man named Kale. Kale wasn't lazy. In fact, he was bursting with ambition. He had a mind full of dreams and a shelf full of projects. But his life was a cemetery of broken promises. There was the guitar in the corner, gathering dust after he failed to master it in a week. There were the stacks of books on business and philosophy, each one abandoned after the first 2 chapters. He'd start a new fitness routine every month, full of fire and determination, only to have that fire turn to ash when he didn't see a six-pack in 7 days. Kale believed success was an event, a sudden explosion of luck, or a single brilliant shortcut. He looked at the successful merchants and artisans in his town and believed they had found a secret door. He, meanwhile, was stuck in the hallway, banging on the wrong walls. One evening, consumed by frustration, he heard whispers of a wise hermit, an old woman named Ilara, who lived high on the mountain's peak. They said she didn't offer fortunes or magic, only clarity. Desperate, Kale decided to go. The climb was grueling. It wasn't a path, but a suggestion of stones and roots. He stumbled, he cursed, and he almost turned back a dozen times. This was exactly what he hated: difficult, slow, and seemingly endless. Finally, he reached a small, simple hut. Ilara was outside, tending to a bonsai tree. She looked up, her eyes clear and calm. "You are in a hurry," she said, not as a question, but as a statement. "Master," Kale panted, "I am. I'm strong, I'm smart, but I'm going nowhere. My life is stuck. Please tell me the secret. What is the shortcut?" Ilara smiled faintly. She walked into her hut and returned, not with a magic scroll or a potion, but with 2 objects: a dull, gray, fist-sized stone and a small, rough piece of cloth. "The secret you want is not in a book. It's in this stone, but it is locked." "How do I unlock it?" Kale asked, his eyes wide. "You will return to your home, and every single day, for just 10 minutes, you will sit and polish this stone with this cloth. You must not miss a single day. In 3 months, return to me." Kale's face fell. Polish a rock? That's it? That's the secret? That is the path. Do this, and you will have your answer. Kale took the stone and the cloth, his heart sinking with disappointment. It felt like a joke, a trick. He had climbed a mountain for this? He wanted a lightning bolt. She had given him a chore. A pointless task, a waste of time. Kale felt cheated. He was ready to toss the stone into the river, but a small part of him, the part that was truly desperate, whispered, "What if?" He agreed, but he had no idea that the first 30 days of this pointless task would become the single greatest battle of his entire life. Kale returned to his village, feeling more foolish than enlightened. He placed the dull gray stone on his desk next to his half-finished projects. 10 minutes, he scoffed. Fine, I'll play her game. The first 3 days were easy. It was novel. He sat, held the rock, and rubbed it with the coarse cloth. He would zone out, thinking about his ambitions, his frustrations, and what he should be doing instead. This is meditation, maybe? He wondered. He looked at the stone. It was exactly the same. Dull, gray, lifeless. By day 7, the novelty was gone. It was just a chore, a stupid, boring, useless chore. His mind screamed at him, "This is pointless. You could be learning a new skill. You could be networking. You're rubbing a rock like a madman." By day 15, the battle became intense. Kale would wake up and see the stone on his desk. A feeling of dread would wash over him. He'd make excuses. "I'm too busy today. I'll do 20 minutes tomorrow. What's one missed day?" But Ilaris' words echoed, "You must not miss a single day." Grumbling, he would sit down, set a timer for 10 minutes, and rub. His motions were angry and agitated. He wasn't polishing, he was scrubbing, as if trying to force a change through sheer willpower. He'd stop and hold it to the light. Nothing. No shine, no glimmer, no magic, just a gray rock. His friends would come by. "What are you doing, Kale?" "Polishing this stone." They would laugh. "Has the hermit turned you into her house cleaner? Kale, you're chasing fantasies again. Come with us. We're going to a seminar on fast-track fortunes in the city." Kale was tempted. Fast-track fortunes sounded so much better than slow-track stone. He was on day 24, and he was at his breaking point. He had wasted 240 minutes of his life. He picked up the stone, his hand tightening, ready to hurl it against the wall. This was the end. He would quit, he would go back to his old way, the way of starting, stopping, and searching for the next big thing. He was done. But as he raised his arm, his thumb brushed across one small edge of the stone, and he stopped. He frowned. He ran his thumb over the spot again. It was different. It wasn't a visual change. It wasn't shining. But where the rest of the stone felt gritty and rough, this one tiny pinprick of a spot felt smooth. Not just smooth, it felt warm. He stared at it. It was almost nothing. A normal person wouldn't even notice it. But to Kale, who had spent nearly 4 hours staring at this stupid rock, it was everything. It was proof. It was the smallest change imaginable, but it was real, a tiny victory. For the first time, Kale didn't feel foolish. He felt curious. The fight wasn't over. In fact, it had just changed. The question was no longer, will this work? The question was, how far can this go? Something shifted in Kale after day 24. The anger was gone. The resentment had vanished. He woke up on day 25, and for the first time, he didn't dread the stone. He looked forward to it. His 10 minutes became a ritual. He stopped trying to force the stone to change. He became a partner with it. He learned its contours, its tiny imperfections, its hidden lines. He found a rhythm. Breathe in, polish. Breathe out, polish. His 10 minutes of frantic scrubbing became 20 minutes of focused, peaceful work. He didn't even notice the timer anymore. He was no longer just rubbing a rock. He was sculpting. By day 45, the change was unmistakable. The gritty gray surface was giving way to a deep, waxy luster. Veins of a darker color, once invisible, were now appearing. The stone wasn't just smooth, it was becoming beautiful. Kale found himself changing too. He looked at the guitar in the corner. He thought, what if I just practice for 10 minutes a day? No goals, no pressure, just 10 minutes. So he did. The first few days were awful. His fingers fumbled, but he didn't stop. He just showed up. He looked at the stack of unread books. Just one page, he told himself, just one. He read one page. The next day, he read 2. A week later, he finished his first chapter in a year. Kale was discovering the secret, but it wasn't the stone that was teaching him. It was the process. He had stopped hunting for the result and had fallen in love with the rhythm. His life, once a series of chaotic sprints and sudden stops, was becoming a steady, consistent march. He was no longer moved by sudden bursts of inspiration or crushed by a lack of immediate results. He simply woke up, polished his stone, practiced his guitar, and read his page. By day 80, the stone was unrecognizable. It was no longer a dull gray rock. It was a magnificent, gleaming jewel. Its surface was like dark water, deep and reflective. It felt warm and alive in his hands. And Kale, too, was different. He was calmer. He was more focused. His friends noticed. "Kale, you seem different. You're playing that guitar." Kale just smiled. 10 minutes a day. The 90th day arrived. Kale took the gleaming jewel and began the long walk back up the mountain. He didn't rush this time. He didn't curse the path. He noticed the flowers, the way the light cut through the trees. He felt the solid ground beneath his feet. He arrived at Alara's hut. She was waiting. Kale beamed with pride, holding out the magnificent stone. "Master, look," he said. "I did it. I unlocked its secret. It's beautiful." Alara smiled, but she didn't take the stone. She didn't even look at it. She just looked at Kale. He had done it. He had followed the instructions and transformed the stone. He had proven his worth. He was ready for the real secret. But Alara's next words would make him realize he had been looking in the wrong direction all along. The secret had nothing to do with the stone. "You've done well," Alara said softly, her eyes full of warmth. "It is truly beautiful." "So, what is the secret, Master?" Kale asked, his voice full of anticipation. "Was it a magic stone?" "The stone was never magic, Kale," she replied. "It was just a stone. Look at your hands." Kale looked down. His hands were calloused, strong and steady. "Now, look at your mind," she said. Kale paused. He thought of the person he was 90 days ago, the impatient, frustrated, angry boy who was always quitting, always looking for a shortcut. That person felt like a distant stranger. "The stone did not change, Kale," Alara said, finally taking the polished jewel from his hand. "Its potential was always there. It was you who changed. You didn't unlock the secret in the stone. You became the secret." Kale's eyes filled with tears, but not of sadness. It was the shock of understanding. "You came here looking for a shortcut, but a shortcut is a cheat. It skips the most important part. It skips the transformation. You wanted a big result in one day, but this stone taught you that profound, lasting change is the result of small, faithful, daily actions. You didn't stop, even when it was boring. You didn't quit, even when you saw no results. That is consistency. And that, my boy, is the most powerful force in the universe." Kale understood. The guitar, the books, the stone. The secret wasn't the task, it was the discipline. He returned to his village, but he was not the same. He didn't look for shortcuts anymore. He looked for processes. He committed to his guitar for 20 minutes a day. He practiced his writing for 30 minutes a day. He learned a new language, 5 words at a time. He didn't check for results every day. He didn't need to. He trusted the rhythm. Months turned into a year. Kale became one of the most skilled musicians in the town. His writing became clear and powerful. People began coming to him for advice. They saw his focus, his peace, his success. One day, a young, ambitious girl came to him, her face etched with that familiar look of frustration. "Kale," she said, "I work so hard, but I feel stuck. What is your secret?" Kale smiled. He reached into his bag and pulled out two objects, a dull gray stone and a small, rough piece of cloth. The secret is not a destination, it's a path, and it begins with this. We are all Kale. We are all standing in front of a mountain of our ambitions looking for the elevator. But there is no elevator. There is only the path. Life does not change overnight. Big results are not an event. They are the consequence of 1,000 small, unglamorous daily choices. Most people fail not because they lack talent, not because they lack passion, but because they stop polishing the stone. They stop 3 days before the first glimmer of light appears. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's boring. It's repetitive. And it is the single greatest superpower you possess. So ask yourself, what is your stone? What is the one small daily action you will commit to starting today? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, but the success of that journey is decided by whether you take that step every single day. What's your one step? Share it in the comments below.